Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Bad Roommates. Sorry, I was trying to remember if it was one or two this week. I think it's just one. First up we have, Am I Overreacting About My New Housemate's Cleanliness? By Salty River 2179. So my housemate, 19-year-old and female, has moved into my home about a week ago, with just myself, 25-year-old female, and my dog. She was happy to take care of my dog while I was away, as she misses her dog back home in Ukraine. When I returned home 2 days ago, she waited up until 3 a.m. to meet me and made dinner for me, as I said I was going to quickly make some food when I returned home, as I didn't want to scare her. I was appreciative for the dinner and subtly dropped a few times that I am autistic and am usually quite particular with what I eat, needing routines, not doing well with surprises, and a few other things. I am unsure if she picked this up, maybe as English isn't her first language. I went to bed, and the next morning there were dishes everywhere, and she was in the kitchen cooking pancakes for the both of us. This annoyed me a little bit, as there were still dishes out from last night. And the kitchen is tiny, and can really only fit one in it. So I waited and then felt forced to eat the food she had just made for me despite not enjoying it. After I ended up cleaning the house a little bit in the hope she'd either move out of the kitchen and or start cleaning as it was a mess, I ended up leaving the house for a handful of hours and returned home and nothing was cleaned. Bowls, food, ingredients out. I cleaned a few things later that could be cleaned without packing anything up. I noticed she had used some of my food in the fridge, put some leftovers from last night's dinner in the fridge unsealed, and just left it in the bowl she served it in. I don't have lots of kitchenware like bowls and also have plenty of containers. I ended up waking up this morning, a few things she put in the dishwasher and hadn't pressed go. I decided to clean up the rest of what I could while leaving any food she left out so she could do something with it. I went to make breakfast for myself, to find nothing available to cook with or serve up food, as everything was dirty in the dishwasher, so I had to bring things out and wash them by hand, just so I could make breakfast. She's also moved some of my kitchenware in different cupboards, and the bins were overflowing, and she had started a pile of Coke cans on the floor outside her bedroom. Why? Which I emptied all, and she didn't acknowledge it. Am I being unreasonable? I hate confrontation and don't really know how to go about it, and I'm worried I'm exaggerating. But having an unclean kitchen really messes my brain around. Having to smell food in the fridge that's going off or exposed makes me snub my nose a bit and messes with my head a bit. And I usually will turn to eating less, which comes from old eating disorders. She just left to go and bring her boyfriend, 18-year-old male, back from Ukraine to live with us as agreed. But I'm worried he may be more messy than her. Maybe he's the tidy one, though. She's left 2 separate plates of pancakes out, an exposed bowl of salad in the fridge, a pot on the stove with mashed potato in it, and tinfoil on top. In another pot, a heap of dirty oil used for frying, uncovered, some weird black sauce in a ramekin exposed on the counter, a small pile of dirty dishes, and also all her food in the fridge that will go off before she returns home. What do I do? Right. Well, the first thing you're going to have to do is the thing you obviously don't want to do, but you have to have a conversation with her. But I think anybody would be annoyed by dirty dishes being left around the place habitually. You're going to have to come to an agreement as to how things are. Now, if you don't want her cooking for you, just say, I appreciate the effort, I truly do, but I have certain requirements and so on, so I generally just cook for myself. That will take care of that. And you're just going to have to flat out tell her, this is too messy, and you need to wash things as they're being used. And really, unless it's something that's been burned onto a pot, in case you let it soak, have dinner, and by the time you're done having dinner, you can wash it off. It's easier to wash things just after you've used them. I mean, it just plain is. So a conversation is going to have to be had. However, the boyfriend, as I say, they might be the clean one. You might find that once he moves in, living with them is a delight. Okie dokie. Story number 2. Am I the asshole for kicking out my friend after letting her live with me rent-free? I mean, obviously not, but let's read the story. I met Melissa in 2023, and through her I met Tammy. The three of us became very close. Tammy was in an abusive relationship for about 5 years. We supported her and encouraged her to leave many times, but she always went back. In May, things got worse, and I offered Tammy my spare room. I don't make much money and already live paycheck to paycheck, but I wanted to help her. I let her stay without rent for now. The only thing I asked was that she help care for my dog by feeding him, walking him, and taking him outside while I worked. That didn't happen. She rarely took him out, and my dog ended up with a UTI that required vet care. According to the vet, the lack of frequent potty breaks contributed to it. Seeing him in pain was heartbreaking. What hurt more was Tammy's lack of concern afterward. Why wasn't she shown the door through the window then, immediately after that happened? No. Jokes. We don't encourage violence here. Not real violence, anyway. There have also been other issues. She brought drugs into my apartment and left them out after I asked her not to. Maybe she was sharing? She doesn't clean up after herself, doesn't respect my space, and broke something of mine without offering to replace it. She also caused apartment issues by playing loud music after quiet hours. Since she isn't on the lease, management thought it was me. Financially, she said she could help only a little, but she had around $8,000 in savings, sweet, and spent hundreds on hair, nails, tattoos, piercings, and other things. Meanwhile, I'm struggling and delaying medical care because I can't afford it. My boyfriend offered to let me move in with him rent-free so I could save money and get the medical help I need. I decided not to because I wanted to give Tammy more time. I told Melissa about that option and said I wasn't leaving yet because I wanted to help Tammy. Tammy found out and 2 days later yelled that if she was such a burden she didn't want to be alive anymore, and that would be entirely her choice and not your responsibility. I was shocked and told her that if she truly felt that way she needed professional support because I was taking her seriously. A few days later she told me she might lose her job. I panicked because I had extended my lease through December to help her, and I couldn't afford another $400 a month if she couldn't contribute. Thankfully, I found out the extension wasn't finalized and I was able to cancel it. After months of stress, anxiety, and feeling disrespected in my own home, I decided I needed to ask her to leave. Yay! I'm scared she'll damage my apartment, hurt my belongings, or make everyone think I'm a terrible friend. Some friends think I'm wrong. Those should be former friends. But none of them offered her a place to stay or took on the responsibility I did. Yeah, that's why it's easy for them to judge they haven't fucking lived with her. I wanted to help my friend escape a bad situation. See, here's the thing, if she's been in a bad situation, I can understand why being away from that she might be spreading her wings, acting out, but it doesn't mean you've got to be an asshole about it. I never wanted her to struggle, but I feel like I sacrificed my finances, peace, and health, and she'll never thank you for it, and my dog's well-being trying to help someone who doesn't respect my home. So, am I the asshole for kicking her out? Or if I let this go on too long, that one. It's the second one. Update. So I kicked her out. Woohoo! And she has until the end of the week to leave. She got most of her stuff the last few days, but left the apartment a wreck. Understandable? No, it isn't. She says she wants to stay friends, but I really don't think I want to. She said I left her no choice, and she's going back to her abusive ex. Yeah, okay, fine. That's a choice she can make as an adult. I've decided to leave her be. Not a crazy update, but here you go. I don't know, she sounds kind of nuts. Okay, story number 3. I mean, I've really got no advice there. The problem has been solved, and yeah, if I were you, I think she's shown her true colors. And if she wants to be with her ex, okay, I mean, she knows what she's walking into if she goes back there. There are options for women in her position. She's just choosing not to go to a women's shelter if there's any nearby. They have resources that could help, but she's choosing not to use them. She'd rather be a leech. Story number 3, Man Baby from Hell, by MacLeod 1311. I've got one for y'all. I, 33 and male, recently moved into my current place after fleeing an abusive relationship. Relevant. It's a rooming house, so I have 5 other roommates. But for this story, it's me and the 2 I share the basement with. A month or 2 into living here, I got a new roommate, Sal, 40s male. Sal is my other roommate's father. Having come out of an abusive relationship, I've become unfathomably good at sussing out toxic, abusive people, patterns, and behaviors. Sal was one such person. When I met him, I immediately told our landlord something was off. He was far too friendly already and exhibited covert, abusive, and power and controlling tactics my ex had used. Think semantic abuse, loud noises to always be the center of attention, be it yawning, throat-clearing, heavy sighs every time he got home, etc., etc. He also moved the fridge his son was using into his own bedroom, so his son had to use mine. I used to keep my things in the bathroom, but started to notice my things being used. I casually brought it up to him as, "Would you know if anyone is using my things? I've noticed my things being used." He denied knowing anything about it, and went in a word salad about his trip to the grocery store. I eventually moved my things to my bedroom. Fast forward, and I kept finding snot rockets in the bathroom, everywhere on the sink, in the bathtub. So I brought it up. To this he grew angry and Darvoed, deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. He denied knowing what was up, attacked me by blaming my dog's fur everywhere, and eventually fell into the "oh, I have cancer" victimhood. For the dog hair, I called his bluff and asked him to show me the fur. Show me the furry. That would be a very different movie. I vacuum and clean up after myself. I knew it wasn't a problem. He looked around, agitated, and eventually fell on a single strand of fur on top of a bureau. I walked over, picked it up, popped it in my mouth, told him it was clean, and went back to my room. Let's hope that was your dog's fur then. Mind you, I could have pointed out the 7+ snot rockets then and there if I wanted to. Admittedly, my action was inflammatory, but hey, he was already yelling at me, and I have no respect for abusers. He then told me he wasn't my friend. Did you ever assume he was? And to watch my tone. You were. You knew exactly what you were saying to him. They think anybody who says something to them they don't like must be oblivious of the fact. And I told him I never thought he was. He started hitting stuff. I don't know if it was walls or furniture or both, but it was scaring my dog, and she came and hid behind me. He also said he should punch me between the eyes. Mind you, I'm 5'3", and he's much taller than me. That means you're much closer to his nuts. He eventually told me he understood why my ex hit me. What a piece of shit. My ex was abusive, yes, but he never hit me. To which I immediately clapped back with, "And I understand why your wife left you." I'm still surprised at myself for both how calm I was in the situation and how fast I clapped back. He then fell into victimhood, and how could I say that? And I told him what he told me about my ex was way worse, and he denied it. Eventually he calmed down and came to excuse himself, and woe is me, basically looking for sympathy where he wasn't gonna get any. The discussion was civil, and I told him he needed therapy. Fast forward the following week, he's looking around the shared kitchen for cookware to use, and I notice he's looking at my stuff. I casually tell him the things he's looking at are mine, and to please not use them. I pointed out the cookware our landlord had brought for communal use on a table. Again he got mad, angrily slid a chair across the room, and fell into victimhood. How was he going to make food now? All my stuff was in the way. There's a whole other table, my dude. I passively told him I didn't know, and went about keeping an eye on him. He kept screaming at me, being aggressive, telling me he had thought of emptying his storage unit and bringing things in his room. but instead he'd fill the communal area instead, then left. He came back almost right away, calm, whistling, and setting up a camping table with camping cookware, propane burner and all, in the basement. I messaged my landlord, told her I was calling the cops, and when they got there, he was outside. He saw them, fled, and never came back. He got his son to pack his stuff and sent, I'm assuming, a new girlfriend to get it. How do these people get women? Okay, whatever. At some point, he threatened to kill his boss while on the phone. Well, that came out of nowhere. I don't know. He's fucked. Story number 4. Was I a Bad Roommate? By Period Pat. Last year, for my first year of uni, I moved in with my friend into a suite, 2 separate rooms, doors always closed, 1 shared kitchen and bathroom. We never set ground rules or anything except chores. She did trash, vacuuming, and bathroom cleaning, which she did maybe twice the whole year. I did dishes and wiping countertops and cabinets. I had a great experience. She did her chores and was very nice. One thing she consistently had a problem with was me bringing my boyfriend over. Some info. My guests always left before 9 p.m. when she was home. I never brought them into any shared spaces while she was home. I always tried my best to be quiet during sex. Put on a video or music at full volume, only whispering, muffling with pillows, stopping the bed from creaking, etc. I never once had an issue with any guests she had over, including her girlfriend who stayed with us for a week. Also never had an issue with her noise levels, even though she would be loud between 2 and 4 a.m. sometimes. It wasn't an issue for me. I always did my chores except cleaning the air fryer, which I never once used, and therefore assumed I wouldn't need to clean. She also never asked me to. Whenever she explicitly asked me to do a chore or get groceries, which I bought for both of us, I would do it. She has noise-cancelling headphones, so she wouldn't have heard me yelling there. Throughout the year, she had consistent issues with me bringing my boyfriend over. She would be very uncomfortable when I brought him over, even if I told her we were just going to watch a movie. One time we did just that, and afterwards she said she could hear stuff through her noise-cancelling headphones and over the movie. Congratulations on all the fantasy shagging you were doing. You're apparently louder in her fantasy than real life. I told her this was impossible, as we didn't even do anything, but she just shrugged and told me she was uncomfortable. Maybe if she pulled this stick out of her ass. I thought things would change when she met my boyfriend, but she set a rule that he could only come over twice a week, which is kind of ridiculous considering, it's honestly not uncommon to have that amount of limitation in a roommate agreement. Which is kind of ridiculous considering that he would only come over for 4 to 6 hours at a time, and always leave before 9 p.m, and stay in my room the whole time. It's not like he was eating our food or using our shower or using her stuff. I brought him over more often than this, obviously, because I thought this was stupid. She confronted me one day, and said she didn't trust me to not have sex when I brought my boyfriend over, and that this was going to affect our friendship. She said he could only come over when she was gone for the weekend, and to avoid conflict I agreed to this. Fuck no, that's way too much. Look, I can understand her wanting to have limitations as to the number of times he comes over a week. As I say, that's a very, very common thing. Usually 2 or 3 nights a week in most situations. But not allowed at all unless she's not there? That's crazy behavior. Outlandish. And other words. Also, it was both our first times living with other people, and I didn't know what the norm was, so I took her opinion as a fact. From then on, I would only have him over when she was gone, and try to go over to his as much as I could. She would also turn off her location a lot, so I couldn't tell whether she was home or not, making planning difficult, and she'd tell me last minute if she was coming back early or not leaving at all. Things were stilted for the last few weeks, but she never talked to me about any issue, and I didn't have anything I wanted to say to her. Fast forward a few weeks ago, she sat me down and had a long conversation with me about how disrespected she felt as a friend and roommate, and how it didn't feel like I cared about her at all. You're not actually required to care about your roommate, fun fact. I was extremely disrespectful for having sex in the room next to her. Now, I'm assuming this is a separate room, and not that you were going into her room, having a quick shag, and then going about your business? And that I didn't do her chores for her, why would you, without asking when she was sick? Whereas she would do that for me, I never asked her to. She said there was no trust in our friendship, and that it would keep her up at night now. How I betrayed her and disrespected her. Oh, a victim. She's always been training for that one for quite a few years. She kept going on about how this really affected her mental health. Yeah, love, we all have mental health. Everything that happens every day affects it one way or another. And she was scared to say anything to me. Apparently not. Which is why she never voiced her complaints. I felt like she was overreacting, and this is kind of a crazy reaction to your roommate having sex. She wouldn't even let him over to help me dye my hair, where there would be 2 doors between us and a video playing because she didn't want to be alone with us whatsoever. So what's the verdict? I just want some outside advice because everyone I've talked to, my mom, other friend who used to be best friends with the roommate and boyfriend, have agreed with me. Comments and some screenshots to show our interactions. Well, you're an adult. So is she, I assume, but she's not acting like one. And you can do what and who you like in your room. She doesn't have a say. Now, I would check my lease if I were you. There will be information. In most cases, there are exceptions, but in most cases, there's information in a lease about when people can come over, how long you can have overnight guests. That's usually how they phrase it. And it will tell you. It might be a couple of nights. Hell, it might be a couple of weeks if you're lucky. And stick to those rules, whatever they might be. Then you'll know that you are well within the bounds of your lease agreement. It doesn't matter what she thinks. You didn't do her chores. It's so weird she would expect you to. Just ignore her. Keep on keeping on. She can get as upset as she likes about it. It's not your problem. It's her problem. And that's for her to deal with. So what you should do is check your lease and see how long you're allowed to have overnight guests over. That's usually how they phrase it. Some cases it'll be a couple of nights. I've seen some where it's generous enough that you can have them over for like 2 weeks consecutively. Then they have to go away for a day and then come back for another couple of weeks. And just abide by whatever that says. She really doesn't have a say at this point. She can be as upset as she wants. Let her enjoy that feeling because she seems to like the drama. Don't let it be your problem. And you'll never see this person once the lease is up, so screw it. Alright, 5th and final story. My ex-friend roommate used to make me feel like I was the dirty one. Moved out proved me wrong. By OK Swan 8908. I, female 22, lived with 3 other women, 20, 23, including my then best friend, female 21. She came off as a very orderly and clean person. Her room was always very organized and clean. The most you would see is a singular misplaced sock. On the other hand, I had a lot of stuff. I wasn't dirty, but when I got overwhelmed, my room at times did end up messy. Some clothes on the ground, makeup on the counter. She would judge and judge hard. This is a time I was hanging out with her, and she'd FaceTimed her sister, scolding her about how dirty and messy her room looked. She had 2 pieces of clothing on the ground, and her bed just wasn't made. For some reason it put me off a little bit, especially because she was truly going in on her. She will also often complain to the rest of the roommates about how dirty the house looked. Not that it was actually a mess at all, but more like at times the counter would need to be wiped or what we needed to mop. But the way she would describe these messes would seem like we were the dirtiest people in the universe. She would often make passive-aggressive paragraphs about cleanliness and calling out people and asking who left what on the counter, which ends up being kind of ironic because she had this bad habit of leaving used paper towels everywhere and dishes in the sink for days. Move-out came, and I had the opportunity to move out early, so I did. Bye, bitch. OP didn't say that. I'll bet they thought it, though. My other roommate moved out mid-July, and another one left in May after she graduated. I deep-cleaned my entire bedroom. We are under individual leases, and cleaned up some of the common area. Now, sometimes I feel like my ex-friend sometimes didn't think, because not only did it say on the lease to return the space to its original condition, but that any trash they collect afterwards is £50 a bag. Fucking hell. They sent numerous emails about how to handle move-out and explaining this. This comes into play soon. Now, I see charges on my account about cleaning fees. Why? Apparently, she left some crap in the kitchen and didn't bother to throw it away or do something with it. In my opinion, it's common sense to take everything out of the apartment when you move out, regardless of if you're going to use it or not. Late November, we all had to move from our old unit because of a problem. But me and female 23, female 20 was just useless, and my ex-friend was out of town. Had to go back to our old unit and clean after everyone else, mostly ex-friend, because she decided to just abandon some of her things instead of just throwing them away. Honestly, I wasn't surprised she did this. In fact, I expected it, which is why before returning my keys, I raised that issue to the office, to which they told me to take pictures of the conditions I left it in. I viewed the move-out form they posted, and honestly, a lot of what they posted were of damages that were already in the apartment prior to move-in. You gotta take pictures and video when you move in. I really only wanted to look at the document to view these alleged damages, but within it, they post the conditions of my bedroom and hers. In my bedroom, the only issues were these alleged damages that were already there. Her bedroom surprised me. There were marks all over the walls. She apparently had 2 bags of trash they had to remove. Oof, $100. The bathroom shocked me even more. It was as if she left that house in a hurry, which would also not shock me because she was going out of town for her birthday, however. She was very aware of move-out day and planned her birthday after knowing this. The tiles of her bathroom were very dirty. Crumbs, hair, rolls of toilet paper, random pieces of trash on the sink, lashes, and oddly enough, a filter for hard water on the sink. She left her curtain and shower rod. The most disgusting part was her bathtub. It was brown, like a lot of dirt accumulated. I wonder when was the last time she scrubbed the tub. After viewing that, I now feel some type of way, like it matters that much, but she would act like she's a super clean person, and I can't match her level of clean. Apparently not. It sounds like you were cleaner. There was a time when her room flooded so bad she couldn't stay in it and shower for days. I kept insisting she use my shower, and when we were friends, we could share a bed, but she refused. She said she felt weird about people's bathrooms. Understandable, but to see the bathroom she showered in, I am almost offended. Not really. Maybe her family having maids come... Oh, there we go. Ding, 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 ding. Come clean frequently made her use a certain lifestyle. Maybe her family having maids, there it is, come clean frequently made her used to a certain lifestyle, but it's crazy to behave one way and actually be a totally different way. I wonder if she was so deluded she just didn't see the mess in her space, because her space was usually taken care of by someone else. Anyway, it's just funny how some people can behave knowing they might be worse than others. Also funny that she's trying to contest her charges when they're actually pretty valid. It just blows my mind how someone could leave a place like that and think that the complex is 100% in the wrong. Well, I'm glad that was cathartic for you. It was it was fun for me to read. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. That was the chair, not me. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. $1 or more a month gets you early access to all the videos at once on Monday. There's also a link to my merchandise store over on Teespring, my Discord server, my Threads account, and my email is kingofthecities@gmail.com if you need to contact me. That's everything for now, so until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves.